On today's Hot Sheet, I'm discussing home price increases in quarter one, the Fannie Mae home purchase sentiment report, and weekly unemployment. Today is Thursday, May 9th, 2024. I am Byron Lazine, and the Hot Sheet starts now. All right, I am back after missing one day. Thank you to Jeremy Knight down there in Austin, Texas, for filling in on the Hot Sheet for me yesterday. It's the only live show that runs every Monday through Thursday, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 on the West Coast in the housing industry, where we look at a 24-hour look back on all things housing and the real estate market. So thank you, Jeremy. Hope you guys had fun with Jeremy yesterday. There he is, moving to Austin. All right, let's jump in. There's the I'm saving it till the end, but the unemployment news is really interesting. There's been a reaction in the 10-year, and then that kind of bounced back. But we'll get to that here in a second. First, let's get to this NAR report. More than 90% of metro areas recorded home price increases in the first quarter of 2024. So this market is weird, right? I'm not suggesting that as a script to clients, by the way. Okay. How's the market? It's weird. Okay. This guy's also a weirdo. Not sure if I want to talk with him, but here we're just real estate professionals, just kind of like, sitting around the campfire and just being real with it. This market is weird. It's, you can have a house, a market I'm sitting in right now in Connecticut, for example. Had an agent that, had a house go on the market and 41 offers. Okay. 41 offers in over the weekend. Just crazy, right? Then you've got a new construction house, one town over, a little bit of a higher price point, but we're talking about like 200,000. We're talking about like in the 300s to in the like $500,000 range. So not, or into the, I'm sorry, it's a little bit higher than that. We're talking about the 300s, I think, in almost double the price. So double the price, 700. I'm sitting at dinner last night with an agent, and she's like, "Yeah, this thing's been sitting on the market for a while now, and Connecticut's got the lowest inventory in the country." What she said to me was, "This is a lost price. Like the 700 in that particular market might be different for your market or whatever, but $700,000 is a lost price. If you've got a lot of money." And you're a luxury, but you got a lot of options. Oh, you might get a deal right now, 1.2, something that was, maybe valued at 1.5, or you can spend for every amenity that you want. Where if you're looking at 350 or 375 or 400 plus, the options are limited. Okay. So it's one of those weird markets where one property can get 41 offers and the next could be sitting there for weeks. This is all while you see inventory across the country go up off of, a significant bottoming out last year off the lowest we've ever seen. Certainly lowest new listing number we've ever seen last year, where, mortgage demand is down, but yet home prices, continue to accelerate. So all these things, it just kind of makes a really mixed market. I think we'd all agree that this spring market was flat. I mean, if even though prices are up, what's your feeling about your spring market? The market, maybe your business is up, and that's great, but you got to recognize where the rest of the market is. Like it lacked oomph, and that is reflective in the transaction count. So this low number of transactions is a real thing. That's where we talk about the real estate recession. It's been going on for a couple of years. It's the falling out of transactions, and that's really tied to the affordability stuff. But it hasn't hit prices. People's homes are still worth more than they've ever been. And NAR reports just that, with 90% of these metro areas recording home price increases. This is not unlike these other reports that we've followed. It's not unlike Case-Shiller's gold standard measurement. Single-family existing home sale prices rose in 93 of measured metro areas. That's 205 out of the 221 in Q1. The prior quarter, it was 86%. So we're now at 93 over 86 from quarter one when you look back to quarter four. The national median single existing home price grew 5% from a year ago to 389.4. That's the median. Okay, that's like basically that one that I said 41 offers. That's basically where the home was listed and kind of shot up from there. 63 markets, so 30% experienced double-digit annual home price appreciation, up from 15% in the top quarter. These are the metro areas with the largest percent gain in existing single-family home price in quarter one. Okay, look at where they all are. It's all the Northeast and Midwest. You can draw a circle around where these 10 markets are. And we've seen the trend now, for the last 12 months reflect this. You've got Wisconsin on the list, Illinois, 4 markets there. You've got Tennessee sneaking in with a market, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, New Jersey. These are the areas that the metros with the largest gains, okay, according to this NAR report for quarter one of this year. New York, Jersey City, White Plains, 18.4%. Newark, 18.8%. And Newark had incredible gains last year, okay? So we're continuing to see that trend go into quarter one, especially where there's these low inventory markets. That's really the commonality there between those markets. Some other regional highlights is all available for you in your hot sheet show notes for BAMX members. South, largest share of single-family home sales, 46%. Price appreciation at 3.3. Okay, so the South, this is where you're significantly seeing home prices in the South start to flatten out. 3.3 looks a lot flatter than it's looked in recent memory. And comparison to the other 3 regions, certainly lower. Northeast, 11%. It's reflective of that inventory, double digits. Midwest, 7.4, and the West, 7.3. Okay. So South's got the most sales at 46%. It also has the most inventory increases. And so you would think more sales, okay, that would more demand, that could push price up more, but they've got the most inventory. And when you see inventory in this market, you start to see prices flatten, not any type of, cliff scenario or anything like that. You just start to see them flatten. According to NAR in quarter one, here are the most expensive U.S. markets: San Jose, Anaheim, San Francisco, Honolulu, San Diego, St. Louis, Oxnard, that's Thousand Oaks area, and Salinas, California, Naples, Florida, and Los Angeles coming in at number 10. Those are the 10 most expensive U.S. markets. A lot of the West, really mostly California, Hawaii, and then you've got Naples, Florida on there. Naples coming in at 9.4% increase. I could see that number cooling off a bit. Just based on the inventory in that particular market. Looking at those 10 markets, that one's definitely rising the fastest on inventory. Housing affordability actually improved, according to this report, in quarter one. 24.2% of income spent on mortgage payments, down from 26.1% last quarter, but it is up from 23.3% from 1 year ago. Okay, so slight improvement there. We'll take any improvement in affordability we can get. That's music to everybody's ears across the economy and certainly in the housing sector. Income needed for a 10% down payment. Okay, this one kind of like highlights where we're really at on affordability. Income needed for a 10% down payment, at least $100,000 in 40+% of markets. That, though, is a decrease from 47.1% in quarter four. So more signs that affordability in quarter one improved to some degree. More accessible markets, 4.5% rather of markets required less than $50,000 in income That's up from 2.3% last quarter. So, okay, things are maybe getting there in the right direction. I mean, we're coming from a really wide gap on affordability when you go from rent to being a homeowner. So we don't want it to keep getting wider. It's nice to see the two ends maybe moving in a better direction. All right, there you go on that NAR report, that latest quarterly report, and all the full details will be available for you in your BAMX hot sheet show notes. The show notes are driving a lot of the data that we're using in the Friday BAMX in a box drops. Every single Friday, if you do not know this already, or you're not a BAMX member, we're delivering to you 3 at minimum social templates driven from a lot of this data, 2 video scripts, as well as 1 email script. And starting tomorrow, we're adding a blog in there. So you're going to have a entire package of content for your week driven from this data. We test the data out on the BAMX channels, and a lot of this performs at a really high clip and gives you the ability to input some of the local data into that. So if you're not on that, as well as all of our courses, you get access to the hot sheet show notes each and every single day, all of our daily downloads, all of our office hours. Run over to the link for BAMX and use code HOT to get in with the discount there. All right, home purchase sentiment report is out. We want to know how consumers are feeling about this market. And Fannie Mae puts this report out, and they put their April 2024 report out. Fannie Mae Home Purchase Sentiment Index remains steady. It's an underwhelming number. It's 71.9. It's reflecting a plateau in housing sentiment as consumers adapt to higher interest rates and prices. So I guess the bit of good news there is we're seeing stability, although the stability is below the numbers that we probably want to achieve in a more positive market. It is stabilizing. We're not seeing big up and down swings month to month. People are getting more accustomed to where this interest rate sits. It is kind of sunk in to some degree that there's going to be an expectation that these rates are more on the high side from what we've been used to the last certainly the last few years, but maybe even the last 5 to 10 years. And people are getting more comfortable with that. So 71.9, that's up from the 2023 and late 2022 for sure. And we're in the 60s. We dropped below 60 when the rates first started going up in 2022. We were at 66.8 about a year ago. So we're up from that mark. Coming into 2022, again, we were at 68.5 and then dropped all the way down under 60. So 71.9 now here for a couple of months in a row, right around that range, unchanged from last month. Tells you that the market kind of understands where we're at. This is well off of the numbers from when the market started recovering, obviously from 2013 all the way to this recent last few years, when they were in the 80s consistently there, and it just kind of went all the way up, peaking at 91.7 in recent memory, just before rates increased in 2018. When I say increased from that time frame, not to the levels that we're at now. So there you go on that. That'll be available at Fannie Mae. Here's a couple other components of the HPSI. Buying conditions, 20% see it as a good time, while 79% would feel the opposite. Net good time to buy, -59. Month over month, that's a -1 change, -5 on year over year. Selling conditions, 67%. So those numbers are up. More people here month over month and year over year believe it's a good time to sell. Home price outlook, 42% think it's going to go up. 18% believe over the next 12 months it'll go down. And that's up 18 year over year, month over month 3. These are all, by the way, if you grab this table and just take a look at some of this, these are all great things to send out to the database, as educational, uh, hooks or subject lines. 42% of consumers believe this about home prices. Oh, what do consumers uh, believe about home prices? Okay, 42% believe it'll go up, 18% go down, 23% believe it'll go up. And then you could go to that chart where it shows, well, here we don't actually know where prices are going to go in the future, but here's what we know about the last 4 decades. Boom, show the chart that we covered on, I think that was Tuesday, the last 4 decades of home prices, right? Job loss concern. 70. We got some information on jobs. That's an interesting dynamic on where rates might be going. So we're going to cover that in a second. But job loss concern. 76%. 3 out of 4 people just not concerned about job loss, but 23% are concerned. So this has actually moved down month over month and year over year, maybe reflective of the actual data. Change in household income. 17% believe significantly higher. 12% significantly lower. That's down both month over month and year over year. So less people thinking they'll be making more money. Okay, so here's some of the visuals. I think these are great visuals to use on again, when's a good time to sell, bad time to buy. And here's where people believe prices will go. So right now, prices going up. I mean, this isn't unlike any point in the last 3 years. It's not like in 2021, 90% of people thought prices were going to go up. Almost the same, 42 to 49, almost the same amount of people believe in 2024 that prices are going to continue to go up than they did in 2021. And the last 4 decades show us that most of these people are going to be right most of the time, because prices typically just go up in real estate over the long haul. So a lot of these folks are going to be right. It's just it's pretty easy to look backwards at the data and say, where prices are going to go. There's only been one real cliff on prices, and that cliff isn't going to present itself in this environment with how much equity homeowners have and how strong these mortgages are. Respondents who say mortgages will, here's mortgage rates. So going up 33%, going down 26%, staying the same 40%. So, 4 out of 10 people just, and if you add going up, you got 7 out of 10 people, over 7, about 73% say they're either going to go up or stay the same. So that tells you that the consumer out there at this point, they're done waiting for the rates to come down. You don't have a consumer that believes they're going to date the rate and marry the house. You've got a consumer that's like, okay, I'm shopping, or I'm considering my options on the current interest rate. So meet them where they're at. Look for homes based on payment. If they're comfortable with the rate, and that's where let's figure out what your average payment's going to be for the 3 or 4 different towns or cities or markets or whatever that you're looking in, and help them really understand what they can get in this market. Listen, I think there's a lot of interest in people buying a home, people owning a home, people investing in real estate. I would maybe even argue the point that almost everybody is interested to some level about what those possibilities could look like. We can't confuse that with the demand that sits in front of us this year. We do, however, have to work both ends of the spectrum. It's our duty, it's our obligation as real estate professionals serving our community to go on that long journey with folks on what the future can hold for them, on educating them, on helping them through that process wherever they be. At the same time, it's also our job, especially if we're one of those great professionals that's adding extreme value, that's exceptional at what we do, to untap those people who are in the demand phase right now, which we know is at the baseline of where we see demand across the country at the 4 million mark of existing home sale, of existing home sales seasonally adjusted every year. We need to uncover those folks where they're at through enough conversations, through making sure we don't push people away because they don't understand the realtor game, or they don't understand that we think they should have to do a sit down consultation with us before. A consultation can happen anyway. This is something I'm so hung up on some of this feedback I've been getting. No, buyers should have to do a consultation with us. Listen, there's limited demand in this market. If you force people into seeing the world the way that you see it, you're going to limit opportunities. You're going to end up just being bitter as opposed to accepting where people are at. A consultation can happen in a coffee shop. It can happen on Zoom. It can happen on FaceTime. It can happen at a home tour. Yes, of course it can. It can happen in the driveway after the home tour. It can happen going around to the sandwich shop around the corner, getting a cup of soup and going over the consultation after the home tour. It can happen in the office. I'd argue that a very small amount of, people starting their buyer journey wants to come into a cubicle world. If you're inviting them into your office for a buyer consult and you've got a bunch of those gray cubicles in your office, I'd invite them somewhere else. If your office offers something of a feeling when you go in there, then certainly offer that as a space. But if when you go into your office, you don't get excited, what do you think consumers are going to do? Find other opportunities. There's so many ways you can do and get to the buyer consult, but you got to meet them first with where they're at. I love looking at this Fannie Mae report because, okay, I understand what they're feeling about the market. It's actually not as scary as we might tell ourselves. The fact that most of these respondents believe that rates are either going to stay the same or go up, great. I'm not dealing with an unrealistic consumer. I'm not dealing with a consumer that believes 2.75. They should be waiting for that. They'll be waiting a lifetime to see that again. I'm dealing with a consumer who gets it, but they want to be met on their terms. So I want to understand where they're thinking, how they're thinking about it. How secure are they in their job? These are all good data points to understand. And then I want to meet them with where they're at and not create so much friction that gets in between their home journey and whatever my beliefs are as an agent. I could promise that there's not many buyers that really care about what the rules in realtor land are going to be constructed. Meet them where they're at. Do it legally, do it ethically, obviously. But I encourage you guys to take a chance on some folks. I think it's going to work out if you're exceptional, if you provide a high level of volume of value. All right, going into unemployment insurance weekly claims. Never wishing for somebody to lose job, but this will be interesting. This will be something that Jerome Powell looks at as a positive data point to potentially support cuts. So in the week ending May 4th, the advanced figure for seasonally adjusted initial claims was 231,000. That's an increase of 22,000 from the previous week's revised level. So unemployment really having a little bit of a pop here. This is something that last week we talked about as showing signs of increasing, showing some early signs of being something that's softening. That's more of the word I would use, where we've been using the strong unemployment number, a strong jobs market. Now we don't have strong in front of it anymore. We have softening. We have normalizing. Job openings are way down from the peak. Now unemployment starting to tick up. This is 1 week, but it's starting to tick up. When you look at how the 10-year reacted to this today, The 10-year reacted initially before coming back. We're sitting at 4.5 right now, 5 minutes before 10 a.m. on the East Coast. But it was sitting at 5.1, or I'm sorry, not 5.1, 4.52, 4.51, 4.52. Jumped down all the way to below 4.48 and now has regained. But initially, boom, jobs report came out. That's where you see that sharp line here this morning was based off of the jobs report. So you can see when, you're not, when you hear the argument, you will not see rates come down until the job market breaks. This is about as good of a window as you can see. You just see one little report. Now we're nowhere near where we want to be on the 10-year, obviously, but you see one report and there's movement there. So you start to stack data on a softening job market. You could see the argument for this 10-year coming down, which will obviously reflect in those 30-year rates, making home buyers a little happy with the 30-year fixed rate that are in the game. So 7.2 is where we ended yesterday. 7.24 was last week's MBA 30-year fixed weekly. The new Freddie Mac 30-year fixed weekly is at 7.22. So both of those above yesterday's daily survey. So the daily survey, and maybe we'll get it to come down a little bit here, is actually lower than the weekly, but we're still in that 7.25 range, essentially, on the 30-year fixed. Reminder for those of you not in BAMX, tomorrow is our next Friday BAMX in a Box drop. Every single Friday we release content done for you, 3 social posts done for you, 2 video scripts, an email script, and now adding in a blog script. You can actually take what you get there done for you and create even more content for your database and or your social by using the daily hot sheet show notes that are also made available to every single one of our BAMX members every day, as well as the slides from each show carved out and available for you, ready to download inside of BAMX. Every month we have a new course. Every month we do office hours, and of course our private BAMX community, where there's a ton of growth and learning from agents of change in there. Use code HOT to get 10% off of your BAMX subscription today. And also, if you want to save money and be around people who are doing it, people who are answering the wake-up call, I'd encourage you to joining me, Eric Simon, the broke agent, as well as Amy Stockberger in Dallas for the 1,000-watt branding and marketing summit. You're going to be surrounded by a room full of people who are skipping the pontification and doing, decision makers. We're talking about marketing decision makers for companies, lead and top agents, team leaders, broker owners, people who are shaping the future of this industry. Okay, you see executives and marketers and prop tech, brokerage, franchising, mortgage, title, MLS, and association. So it's a well-rounded group. You're not going to be walking into a think tank where everybody thinks exactly like one another. You're going to be walking into exactly what a think tank should be. A lot of different views, strategies that are working across the country. And you can use code BAM to get the lowest price available for that 1,000-watt branding and marketing summit. I'm really looking forward to spend some time with you there if you're in the Texas area, of course, or want to travel and join us there. That's what we've got here for this week on the hot sheet. Tomorrow, Friday, over at Knowledge Brokers Podcast, myself, Lisa Chinati, and Tom Toole are going to be interviewing the CEO of Realtor.com, Damian Eales. Maybe, Haley, you could link up. That's on a separate YouTube channel. So if you've never gone over to the Knowledge Brokers Podcast, if you like the hot sheet, you're going to love this podcast. We go once a week. We usually recap some of the biggest news and shifts in the industry. We take that information and give you some tactics and skills as a knowledge broker to move forward and implement that into your business. We release it every Friday. But tomorrow we're going to be interviewing the Realtor.com CEO. He's been interviewed a lot lately. A lot of media outlets have interviewed them. interviewed him. He's been going on like on a road tour here of promoting the realtor.com message. I can promise you nobody of all these interviews, these written interviews that don't even appear on video most of the time, are going to ask the questions that we're going to ask. It's funny. You get folks that are in the industry getting paid to ask questions, and sometimes they don't think of the hard question, or maybe they're fearful that it'll hurt a sponsorship opportunity to ask the right questions. Myself, Lisa, and Tom are all realtor.com partners in our business. That being said, we tore up Damien's Wall Street Journal op-ed on a pod. We don't care. We're not afraid of asking tough questions. We're not afraid of holding folks accountable. And tomorrow is going to be Damien's opportunity to respond to the podcast of a few weeks ago, where we didn't see his op-ed as we saw it as an opportunity missed. We thought it lacked depth. So we're going to ask him about that. We're going to ask him about, why he's hung up on this homes.com thing and the numbers there. We're going to ask him if his prediction of, lowering commissions comes true, how that will impact the realtor.com business. We're going to ask him all of these questions that are unanswered as of yet. So that's going to be a very interesting pod. Go over, subscribe to that YouTube channel, or if you listen on Apple or Spotify, love to hear a review and your feedback from that pod. That'll be tomorrow over on Knowledge Brokers Podcast. All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate being connected to all of you. Really appreciate everybody that's inside of BAMX, and we will see you soon. Until then, toodaloo.